Hi there. My name is Dr. Athena Phillips, and welcome to my channel. For nearly 3 decades now, I have worked alongside individuals, families, and communities impacted by trauma. And throughout my career, I've had the privilege of serving in many roles, including social worker, therapist, educator, consultant, and I founded Integrative Trauma Treatment Center, which is an organization dedicated to trauma recovery and healing. We also have a continuing education arm that is designed for both survivors and for clinicians alike, with the aim of increasing access to information that is focused on trauma. Um, and so, despite these other titles, my mission has always remained the same, which is to help prevent trauma and support survivors um, within their communities. And I like to find innovative ways to do that. So, innovation and accessibility are other key features of my orientation to problem solving within the mental health sphere. Also, I just want to be transparent that I'm moving between reading a script that I wrote so I don't forget anything and also just talking to you authentically. I just don't want to leave anything out. So I'm going to be moving between reading and just talking, and hopefully that's fine. Um, so ultimately, innovation and utilization of technology is one of the ways that I personally work to increase access to information for clinicians and survivors. In essence, that's really what this channel is all about. I specialize in trauma and primarily trauma-generated dissociative disorders. There's still so much misunderstanding surrounding the ways that human beings can adapt to overwhelming experiences, and these conditions are adaptations by definitions, and perhaps arguably are conditions that reveal the way our bodies learn and adapt to adversity, with the primary aim of survival in mind. So our minds and our bodies do have one primary prerogative, which is survival. The brain, the body, the nervous system, they are constantly learning from our experiences. And when those experiences are overwhelming, especially when they occur repeatedly and early in life, our internal systems adapt in very remarkable ways. So many of the symptoms that people struggle with are not signs that something is wrong with them. They are often signs of how their mind and body found creative ways to survive circumstances that were too much, too soon, too often, or endured alone. One of the themes that you will hear me frequently discuss is what I call the normalcy of fragmentation, because fragmentation as it exists in dissociative disorders, I would say they're a disorder because they're actually quite orderly, is and I do view them as normal, that we all will fragment in little ways when we have to. Daydream is a normal thing. That's not fragmentation per se, but when we have an experience that is overwhelming, let's say we just have one trauma, which I don't know who has just one, because trauma is part of being human. But that memory is stored like a photograph. It's different from working memory, what we call working memory. And I view those photographs as frozen and separate from the rest of our autobiographical memory that we formulate and which actually changes throughout our lifetime. So even just one trauma or one thing that is an image that is frozen in time is a form of fragmentation, and most people that I know of can relate to that. So, foundationally, separating experiences and containing them within our brain and our nervous system is a normal way of being, and it allows us to continue to live and build a life for ourselves, even when we need to wrap around some intolerable experiences. It really is quite remarkable what we can do. And we all also experience different aspects of ourselves. We have different roles, different emotional states, different ways of thinking in different contexts, and different ways of responding to the world. Trauma can intensify and organize these experiences in ways that sometimes cause distress, but understanding fragmentation through a human lens can help us move away from fear and move towards greater compassion for those that we serve, and also towards ourselves. I also believe strongly that the denial of structural dissociation is rooted in the collective denial of the kinds of horrors that children are exposed to that exist alongside our collective failure to protect and respond. The existence of trauma-generated conditions of this magnitude really constitutes a humanitarian crisis, and that's something that I really want to address. So this channel is dedicated to exploring that journey. Together, we'll talk about trauma and the nervous system. We'll talk about PTSD, complex PTSD, dissociation, and we'll explore the science behind trauma, the creativity of human adaptation, and the many ways that healing can occur. We'll look at treatment approaches, practical skills, research findings, and lived realities of people navigating these experiences every day. We'll also talk about something that is really deeply important to me that I referenced earlier, and that is accessibility. We can come up with so many great interventions to support healing, but if the majority of the world cannot access those interventions, I don't see them as particularly useful. So I try and find innovative ways to increase access to, as I mentioned earlier, information and ways to support people, even if you're not a therapist, because we need our communities around us in addition to therapy, and therapy should not be the only way that we heal. So really acknowledging the importance of the collective, both in prevention but in healing, is a key feature of my orientation to solving the problems that are rooted in trauma. And I do believe that trauma is at the root of what ails us on many levels socially. And also around the world, we know that millions of people struggle to access specialized trauma-informed care. And as I mentioned, that is a problem that I'd like to solve. Many communities we know face barriers related to geography, cost, provider shortages, stigma, or a lack of training. And I know that I've read a couple of studies that 70 to 80% of people have been exposed to trauma in their lifetime. My real curiosity is who are the 20 to 30% of people who have not? Because I do think that trauma and adversity is part of being a human being and very normal. So whether you're a survivor, family member, clinician, a coach, a student, or someone who's trying to understand yourself more fully, my hope that this channel becomes a resource to help bridge that gap. I really do not believe that healing only belongs in therapy offices, as I mentioned earlier. I believe it happens through knowledge, through relationships, through community, through connection, and through understanding ourselves and others more deeply. My hope is that this channel helps normalize conversations about trauma and dissociation, reduces stigma, and expands access to quality information, and reminds people that adaptation is not pathology, it's just adaptation and learning. So human beings, we know, are incredibly resilient, and these responses to trauma really reflects our capacity to recover and adapt, as I mentioned. So even after profound adversity, growth, connection, meaning, and healing always remains possible. And thank you so much for being here. I look forward to exploring these topics together, and welcome to my channel.